I'd like to call this Public Utility Commission meeting of November 9th, 2015 to order. And if you would please, we'll all rise for prayer and invocation. We've asked Commissioner Dankel if she would lead us in a word of prayer. Then we'll follow by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this night that you have given us to come here and do the business of the Utility Commission. We pray that you would be with us in this meeting and that you would guide and direct us according to your wisdom. We pray for each person here. We pray for each community member for whom we try to make the right decisions. Be with our families, be with our community, Lord. We pray that you would be with those who are in grief and in illness during this time. Bless us and keep us in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to again welcome each of you. Thank you so much for being here. All of the commissioners, our attorney, all of our staff, our friends and our family and members of our community. Thank you so much for being here. At this time, we're going to call for the approval of the minutes from our work session on September 8th. We had a regular meeting of September 14th and a called meeting of September 17th and the work session meeting of October 6th. Is it okay that we call for all of them together, okay?
Unless there are objections.
Unless there are objections, we will call for approval of the minutes all together.
I so move.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded that we will approve all of the minutes as presented. Do we have any questions? If not, any discussion, then we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. All right. It's approved. And we will call on the our staff for the activity reports for both September and October.
I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has for the September and October activity report from the finance manager. I think the most important item of the activity report is the closing of the year-end is all but done. I was working on that today, and the information will go out to the auditors hopefully by the end of the week. But I would be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Do we have any questions for our finance manager? Okay, congratulations on closing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we pray it's going smoothly for you. Our customer service manager, Sue Roach.
I have submitted my portions for September and October, and I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions for our customer service manager? Is the change of hours still working to our favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
They were very busy when I left.
okay, good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our billing office manager is not here. Do we have any questions regarding the report? Okay. The electric department.
One thing I have to add, we're gonna finish up on decorations by Friday.
Okay,
We'll make them hot, 24th.
all right.
Any more questions?
I just have one, it's minor. I noticed that you continue to replace poles.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you identified a bunch of poles throughout the city.
Over 200.
Right. Where are we now in that?
We probably changed out 50, 60. As time permits, we do change them out.
Right.
Now, our system was in fairly good shape. Usually, when they do your whole system, it's probably 20% of them bad. I think 80% of ours is this good old red Georgia flag. And Fort Valley, keep iron blast.
Any other questions for our electric department? All right, our information technology department, Zach Allen.
In the past month, we've installed the GPS on 23 of our trucks. We'll be taking training on the 19th of next week, with all of our superintendents, and we hope to be able to have some extra data on our reports for you regarding our trucks. We also did, for the month of October, our pink shirts, and I think that went over well. I hope you all got a chance to see the picture. I think our employees did a good job coming out and supporting it. And I would hope that in April we'll be able to continue that kind of work, doing a good Relay for Life team. And I would hope you'd all be involved in that.
Okay. While you added telecommunications was in that report as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Our natural gas, that's County Tucker.
Yes, the activity report for September was as follows. You have a copy of the activity report, and also for September, the only thing that really catches the eye was myself and the general manager attended the Municipal Gas Authority orientation in Kennesaw for the month of October. And also we did a survey on distribution in the month of September.
Okay.
So that was for the month of September. And also in October, the gas department also, all regulator station inspection was conducted in Crawford and Fort Valley for the inspected regulator station for the month of October. And also the SRCS, the Municipal Gas Authority, also came in and conducted a class with customer service in the water treatment plant on answering gas leak calls for the month of October. And also myself attended the DEMP class was held by the Public Service Commission in Dublin.
Do you have any questions for our superintendent, for the gas department, Connie Tucker?
I have a question.
Okay.
About, but not just for gas, but I noticed that we are changing out these new, well, what were the new meters, they're starting to wear out now, and y'all are continually changing those out. Are they, what is the life expectancy of these
Well,
meters?
15 years the lifespan of residential, but Zeke is the one that actually in charge of changing out all the gas meters. I mean, letting us know when to change them out. So we change them out as they, stop meter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why we'll change out the gas department.
Okay.
Zeke can update you on the plan when he comes up with his report in
Okay.
just a moment.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Our water and reclamation department, Keith Stone.
I've submitted our activity report for September and October for water and wastewater. Do y'all have any questions on what was submitted?
I got one quick question. I think I heard you say the other day on that asbestos pipe, y'all started on Flint Drive. Where is
They
that?
have- Flint Drive is off of Old River Road.
Okay, I wasn't aware that we had some there, but
They made pretty good progress last week out there. And the only other highlight for the month on water was we had an EPD lab inspection last month that went real well.
Okay. I have one question.
Okay.
I noticed that we pressure cleaned in a number of areas, and
Right.
I'd like to know the advantage of pressure cleaning and what is normally the recommendation for cleaning.
Normally on the sewer lines and cleaning the sewer lines, will go in behind some of those streets and TV as well to see what condition the mains are in. And it also keeps your blockages to a minimum.
I saw in your report that the EPD came, and I wondered, do they do surprise inspections, or do you expect them when
They normally give you about a day, a day notice to get ready for them.
Do they have the right to give you a
They don't have to
visit
give
with?
us any notice, they can
That's
show
what I
up at
was
the door
thinking.
and say, we want to look at everything you got.
Yeah, that
they?
happens.
How often do they do that?
About every 3 years.
Okay.
We actually have two different sets. We have one that comes in and looks at the lab, and we have another set that comes in and looks at all the facilities as well.
And we got a good report.
We got a good report.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
All right, we always get a good report, I think.
We try.
We do. Thank you,
Thank
Keith.
you.
All right, Meter Department, Superintendent Ezekiel Hart.
You have a copy of my report, but to answer Commissioner Banker's questions about the electronic receivers transmitters, we were one of the first utilities to really start using ERCs. And that was the beginning of using ERCs. And now, a lot of the meters that we first installed, the battery life in those ERCs was about 10 years. But the newer ERCs that we are installing now has a life expectancy of 20 years. So as the old ERCs wear out, we install the new ERCs, which is going to give us twice the life the old ERCs have. And anything that is made by man, it will wear out. But I'm very well pleased with the results that we've had from the ERCs that we've installed, because we still have a lot of old ERCs installed in the field, and they're just like that ever-ready rabbit. They just keep on ticking, and keep on going and going and going. But as they expire, we replace them.
So if the battery goes, the whole thing
If
is...
the battery goes, the whole ERC goes.
Right. And do we still have some meters that have to be read
Manually,
manually?
we have a few meters out there that have to be read manually, because we have what we call a boat end meter. And the ERC technology has not caught up with the boat end meters, so we have to manually read the boat end meters, and we have to manually read the 2-wire meters. Like we meter the street lights. Meters are so expensive. In order to get a 2-wire meter, it will cost about $325, but a regular house meter costs $68.50. So that 2-wire meter is extremely high. But as don't too many people use 2-wire meters, so we have to just bite the bullet and read those manually, but it's not that many out there. Outside of the whole system, we have less than 1% meters that we have to manually read.
So all of the residential meters are now read automatically?
90,
The reason I ask that is a citizen asked me that question not long ago, and I said that I thought that most of the residential properties have the ERC meters.
we're about 95% complete.
So
on
there are
the,
a few that still
right.
have to be read.
And we hope to be 100% by the end of 16, hopefully. Any more questions?
One quick,
Uh-huh.
when a water meter is underwater, can you read it from the truck? Or
We
you
can
gotta-
read it, but you know how that negative pole,
Right,
that is why we have more water meter change outs than electric or gas, because it's in the ground. And it would have that negative charge in the life of a battery on a night like tonight when it's raining and it's in the ground. wears that battery out because it's going to grind. But there's nothing we can do about that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And our General Manager, Mr. Craig Mims.
Well, I do have one thing to add, is that about 10 days ago, we had an auditor in here to take a look at our internal controls. He has given me a report. I expect to meet with him next week, and hopefully, when we have our work session in December, I will be prepared to share the results of that 3-day visit with you all. Any other questions?
All right. Thank you. The next agenda item is the year-to-date August 2015 Budget and Financial Review. Pat McFall.
I'd like to give you a summary to be read into the record for the Monday night meeting as it's covered in the August work session. And you have the summary in your packet. The actual year-to-date through August 11 months was $862,497 versus a budget deficit of $927,232. We'll have the internal September available in the next work session,
Okay.
since it'll be closed out this week. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We have no old business on our next agenda item, so we're going to move now into our new business. And we're going to welcome our neighbor, Mr. Ralph Lambert, who wants to discuss the utility rates with us.
All right, good.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it very much. Again, I'm Ralph Lambert. I'm representing myself at this time as a small business owner. As if I was representing myself as a resident, I love the rates. And you're doing a great job on that. I want to open a conversation relative to the rates charged businesses. I got a copy of the rate sheet, and I went through, and there's some things that I don't understand, and hopefully you'll be able to help me understand a little bit better. It is complicated, I understand that. I did mention this to Tim Eccles, who is the Public Service Commissioner who came to visit us, and he said that I should get in touch with you all, and that's what I've done. So thank you very much. You put me on the agenda. I spoke to you. So, again, I said I'm representing myself as a sole business, but there are many, many other businesses in Fort Valley that are identified as small commercial businesses, and that's number 22. With every other business, and that's commercial, institutional, industrial, and industrial large power, there is a variable rate. You use more, you pay less. Small commercial businesses are the only ones that have a flat rate and don't have any opportunity to buy more and pay less, which I find to be unfair. I also don't understand, and I've tried to get rationale as to why the rate is at 16 cents, 17 cents, sometimes 18 cents, and now my latest bill is 21 cents a kilowatt hour, which I find to be significantly above where I think it should be. I think even where you think it is. And that has to, I think that has to do with the base charge, but there's no base charges shown in your bills. So I can't tell what my kilowatt hour is. If there's a base charge in the bill, it would be a good idea to break down that into the kilowatt hours. Because when I do my analysis of the kilowatt hour, I simply take the amount of money and divide it by the number of kilowatt hours. That gives me my rate in most cases. But everybody agree with that? That's how it's done?
I don't believe that's how it's done. That is the only way that you can arrive at an average cost of a kilowatt hour.
Right, that's the only way that every customer
Right.
can arrive at.
Right.
If there's a base rate in there, the customers don't know it, so they don't know what that base rate is. I also don't know whether or not that base rate is subject to change without a meeting of the utility commission. I know that you meet and approve the rates, but what I don't know is that subject to change? And if it's subject to change, how does that impact my rates as a small business? So what I did was, I looked at my past utility bills, and I've got everything from, now I have an apartment that's being charged 14.9 cents a kilowatt hour. I have a business, the 1890s Retreat House, that's being charged 21 cents a kilowatt hour. And I have another business that's being charged 17.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Now, I support 6 businesses in this community. I have 4 hairdressers. Don't touch the podium. I have 4 hairdressers, a book editor, a stained glass shop, and our corner business. And I also have this business over here, which is the 1890s Retreat House. 17 cents a kilowatt hour, I've been told, is what you charge. That's what you get to charge. And somehow you figured that out. So I've tried to figure out how it is that you're able to charge 17 cents a kilowatt hour. What's the underlying explanation? I got 2 explanations today. One I got from Pat McFall about 2 years ago, who said, since we have a lot of bad debt in the electric rates, people who don't pay their bills, we go and we charge that to the businesses, which I find that to be unacceptable. The second one I got was, the reason we charge you 17 cents a kilowatt hour is because you're a business. There's no explanation. The kilowatts that are coming into my business are the same as what's coming into every household. So if there's a reason for charging small businesses a flat rate of 17 cents a kilowatt hour, I don't have it yet. And I'd like to pursue that. I'd like to pursue that so that I can bring it to the rest of the commercial community, the small commercial community, and make them aware of what they're paying. I've been told that that the reason people fail in Fort Valley is not because of the electric rates. It's because it's a bad business plan. So I want to dispute that. I would say that if the business rates are 17 cents a kilowatt hour, and in the neighboring county, in Flint, they're 10 cents a kilowatt hour for the same business, I would say that the reason people fail is not totally because of the electric rates, but it's part of the problem. So with that, I'd like to open a conversation and say, how can we help small businesses to come into the community? How can we, as a utility commission, welcome small businesses into the community? Right now, if someone comes in and wants to start a business, we have to tell them, you need to be careful with your electric because it's going to run you out of your business. And some of these people, they're dealing with older equipment, they're dealing with restaurant equipment, which takes a lot of power. They don't have a chance. They really don't have a chance. We're trying to foster an atmosphere of incorporating businesses into the community. We really, as a utility commission, since you're really a big part of the community, you ought to have something that says, let's welcome in small businesses. So, if you want to start an open conversation, I'd be happy to meet with anybody, try and understand what it is that we can do for small businesses, and how do we go from here, or where do we go from here?
Okay. We want to thank you for your concerns. You expressed them very well to us, and I turn to the board to and our general manager. He asked a very valid question. Where do we go from here? He wants to start a conversation. So, any recommendations on how we get the conversation started? Where do we go from here to get it started?
Have we offered anything at this point to rate comparisons or anything of that? Have we done anything to, have you asked or have we done anything at this point to?
I have, I went down to your accounting office and I spoke with the accounting manager, Jan. She's the one who provided me with the explanation, the reason why we charge you 17 cents a kilowatt hour is because you're a business. I did tell her that before I went there, I went and checked with other local communities. And in fact, I called Flint, called into their business office, and I asked for some verbal quotes on what it cost them for their electric. And I gave them several categories. I said a residential kilowatt hour price, a small business kilowatt hour price, a medium-sized business kilowatt hour price, and maybe a larger business like a car dealer or something like that. Not really a large business, but Bluebird I consider to be a large business. The answer came back, it was 10 cents across the board. Across the board, 10 cents. So that to me seems to be a much more friendly environment, or what's a better phrase for it? It seems to be a much more doable environment for someone anticipating starting a small business. So I don't think Fort Valley wants to become a bedroom community. I think we want to have a vibrant small business representation, but we're going to have to help them along. We really have to think about what it is that we're doing to small businesses and trying to help them along. I mean, I've watched at least 10 small businesses come in and go out for rates. And that's what they tell me for rates. I'm not defending that, and I'm not saying that it is for rates. It's part of the problem. Maybe they did have a bad business plan, but maybe they didn't count on 17 cents a kilowatt hour. Maybe they didn't. So all I'm saying is that we really need to connect with the business community. I'm on the economic development for DDA. I'd like to talk to other businesses and get them to come in. But if I tell them that, hey, you've got freezers and you've got refrigeration equipment, you've got other stuff, and it's, by the way, it's 17 cents a kilowatt hour, I just double their electric bill from where they're at. Business is hard enough now. When you start squeezing the margins by doubling their electric rates, that's tough to take. And it's not a friendly environment. So.
All right,
I'd like to say something if I could.
all right. You're not, okay?
Well, I'd just like to say that I totally agree with what Ralph is saying, and I've been talking about this for years. I feel that our business rates are too high. If anything, I think that our business rate should be less if we're not going to charge everybody the same. And I remember, I guess it was a few months ago, there was a request that came to the Utility Commission, to us, to raise the telecommunications rates for businesses. And as we were considering that, we asked if there was a difference in the telecommunications service that a business would get versus the telecommunication rate. Service that a residential customer would get. And the answer was no, it's the same. And for that reason, it seemed like, well, why would we be, that's a punishment for our businesses. If they are getting the same service, why should they pay more? And I think the same thing applies to the other utilities. We need to be a lot more aware of the impact that any expense that a business has to incur to locate here, and do everything that we can to make it attractive for small businesses to be here and to flourish here. And to me, Ralph, didn't you say that the stained glass school that you had, overnight, your utility rate doubled, or?
I was contacted by Pat McFall. We were going along, happy-go-lucky, I guess the term is. We had started a business there. We went to City Hall, we got the permits, we did everything we were supposed to do. And we started to, and we were a business, we were a retail business, so we got the right zoning for it. And we started to then branch out. We had an extra couple of rooms, so we rented a room to someone. Well, as soon as we rented a room to someone, and it was a rental, we were already a business, so this was under our business umbrella. We were already a business. When the rental advertised in the newspaper, somebody picked it up and said, "You're renting to a hairdresser, we're gonna double your rates." I mean, I didn't do anything extra. There were no extra lines that came into my business. It was only for the fact that we were a business. We had been a business for, I think, 2 or 3 years before that. And I guess I felt lucky that I didn't get charged retroactively for that electric. But that was a bolt out of the blue. That was very difficult for us. That doubled our bill. The same exact thing happened to me at the Anderson Avenue house, 117 down here at the 1890s Retreat House. We had, it was residential. Actually, it's zoned institutional. It was a business endeavor, and as soon as I put a sign in the front lawn, my rates doubled. Now, you know, we get business in because we have good rates that we can charge people. But I mean, I have to increase now my rates to people, which makes me less competitive with other people because of the electric rates. And there was really no reason for it.
So your meter didn't change?
No, nothing changed.
Your use didn't change?
I spent an extra $1,000 to have the utility company bury the meter so that there wouldn't be any trouble with squirrels and whatnot on my service. So, and I had 400 amp service put in, so that was all normal. I had 400 amp service put in at my house on Church Street. So to me, nothing changed except the price that I'm paying for electricity. And I still haven't gotten an explanation.
I don't think you need an explanation. I think we need to fix it. I think there's a problem here. And I mean, I can see if the service were different, if you were getting more for your money.
If you would have put 3-phase service in, and I had more service calls because I was doing a business and I was using a lot of the expertise that you have here, you were having to send service people out, I could see that. But it's the same wires. Everything is the same. Yes,
All
ma'am?
right, I have a question on the site where your stained glass place is that you rented out to the
Yes.
beautician. Did the beautician get a business license separate?
Yes.
So she has a business license,
Mm-hmm.
but the utilities are not separated out
No, the utilities all come into me.
because it's not a separate meter.
That's correct.
Two things. I know, and y'all correct me if I say something that's incorrect, but I think I know for a fact what happened on the hairdresser deal. I know we have a hairdresser on the end of Pecan Street that was given a choice when she put a beautician shop in her residence, that she could either have another meter installed and meter the beauty shop separately and pay that in a commercial rate, or she was going to have to pay that whole rate on her house too. And the last time I noticed it, she only has one meter, and I would assume that she's paying that much higher rate. Now, if it were me, I would seriously look into having 2 meters put in for that purpose. But am I right, Pat and Sue and Craig, that that is the trigger in that instance? But I would like to suggest we're paying for it already. ECG has a team that can come in and do turn all these pages over for us, and let's do that. Now, I know you all did, I just received a copy from ECG of our rate studies, and I looked at it rather thoroughly, and I was impressed with what I looked at, but there must be something that I'm not seeing in the...
Well, what it is that's the residential rate.
No, it's all.
It's all
I saw your comment and email about that, but it's all rate classifications in that rate study.
Okay, if you'll look at, I mean, this is your rate sheet, which I picked up from Jan, and it says small commercial. There's 2 rates. There's a summer rate and a winter rate.
Right.
And there's no chance for buying more and paying less. It's a flat rate. I don't understand the flat rate. There is no explanation provided to me that says small commercial costs us more, or small commercial has special meters, or small commercial we have to send people out all the time. There's no explanation at all as to why small commercial gets charged double, and in some cases triple, what Bluebird pays.
I think what we need to do for Mr. Lambert and to his interest, for all of, because he makes a valid request for conversation, and he also makes a valid request for us to provide some answers. I think if we will take your concerns, we come back to you as we have a chance to take a look at what your concerns are and see if there is something we can or cannot do. I think you presented it well to us, and I think we can work it out. We can at least take a look.
I do want to ask, are you being a good Samaritan to allow your beautician to operate within your building without having to pay their own utilities? I'm almost sure that the equipment that you would use for the stained glass training.
Well, first you have to explain the definition of good Samaritan. I mean, I am up with being a good Samaritan, but if you give a dance, you got to pay the band.
Okay.
I mean, what we do it about as fair as we possibly can, and this is in our agreements. We have 4 different beauticians.
Okay.
We share the rates with them. That is the best deal for them in town.
So you split it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we split it evenly, and I don't charge for that service. Although as a landlord, I have the authority to do that under rental agreements or rental laws in Georgia. But I don't do that. I charge them exactly what we used, and everybody pays a fair share. So, and that's the only way. By the way, the 4 of them that are there, I think one is about to leave. The 3 that are there say they have been in other locations. They couldn't afford the utility bills. They said they were in their own shop, and they just couldn't afford the utility bills.
In Fort Valley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I just, I guess I applaud you for doing it the way you're doing it, but I have dealt with, since I've been in office, about people who didn't want to buy a business license, who's running a business and operating in another building. And one of them is a person that you would really be surprised about. I just... No, not you. Be surprised about it. And I kind of take issue with that, but if you're doing that and splitting it 4 ways and everything, I can understand that. But that may be the reason for more, I'm sure that's the reason for more consumption, but like you say, you're splitting it 4 ways.
Well, the consumption is one thing, but the rate is something
Rate
else.
is another else.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
Then the other thing about the comparison of Flint and all those others, I guess I should ask our general manager about numbers of consumers affecting what your rate is. I guess maybe, Bob, I need to ask you that. I don't know. But how many consumers does Flint have as opposed to how many consumers we have? Does that affect your rates? Wouldn't that affect your rates?
Well, it would affect the, let me just.
The rate comparison, I mean.
It would affect the rates if you looked at apples to apples. So if you're comparing businesses, you'd have to lump in all businesses.
Mhm.
With the exception of now you'd have to set the small commercial business aside because there's no comparison whatsoever in that analysis. So, I'm sorry I stepped in.
That's quite all right. I would be inclined to say I can't collaborate this statement, but I would be inclined to say that because Flint has a larger customer base, it seems to be logical to me that their rates might in some instances be cheaper than ours. However, the rate study that I just alluded to does not indicate that.
No.
Secondly, our cost and rates are predicated more than anything else on what our fixed costs are. And our costs are not fixed. They vary. I could let Pat tell you, or somebody else here tell you that we belong to MEAG. MEAG owns participation in all the generating facilities in the state. Some are some are nuclear, some are not, some are coal. Some of the coal ones are being shut down. All of those things affect our cost, and they affect them every month. But we do, with MEAG's help, they do the same thing. They have to average their cost yearly, and we do the same thing, estimate what they're going to be. And I know that, because I've been a small business owner too. For a long time, I used to be a small business owner. Let me rephrase that. And I've complained about it too. I know I've seen bills as high as 15, 16 cents a kilowatt hour. And I've never gotten a real good explanation for that either.
From here?
Now, I couldn't give you, and I've been on this board since 1980, I can't give you a real good explanation for your question. And that's why I said that I would like to propose that we get Electric Cities down here to help us with this, and about you specifically. Craig, is that something,
Yeah, we can.
will
we
they
can
get
evaluate-
into
we can-
individual?
We can take a look at his individual situation, but I will say this, when we talk about there not being any change in apparatus or anything from a residential customer to someone converted to a small business, that's absolutely true, but the difference is the time of day that business is using it versus the time of day that a resident is using it. And that business is generally pinging on the system during peak times, and residential customers don't, because they're typically there after 5 o'clock in the evening until 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. That's the substantial difference in the two. But we can take a look at his individual situation and do a little deep diving with ECG and see what we can figure out.
Now, if you don't mind my comment on that, because I did ask that question, and it was postulated that possibly the time of day has something to do with it. So that only sets us back a little bit further in my misunderstanding, because most of the hairdressers will work from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock at night, and none of them work on the weekends. If they do, then it's Saturday morning. So they are not working peak hours.
Now, what I'm talking about is overall rate structures.
No,
And that's why the rate structures for that business class
Right.
is because they're more likely to ping on the system during peak times, is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your individual situation.
We do not do any time of day billing, you know, so
Okay.
it's all the same thing as far as the clock is concerned.
Mr. Lambert, I do want to say that I thank you for representing the small businesses and asking these questions, because it's no secret that we have a challenge of drawing businesses here and keeping them. We have a challenge. I have to wear my mayor's hat now. And we do have that issue. And I have been a small business owner also, and I do know that was a challenge. And we are trying to overcome those challenges, and I'm hoping as we get a chance to look into this a little bit more deeply, there is a resolve. I just think we got to try to take it on to make sure we find a resolve.
I think for the health of our city, we need to do that.
And it would be wonderful to be able to go out to DDA and say, by the way, as a moniker on your being able to attract small businesses, here's what our rates are. And that would be great for you in the mayor's office too, to be able to have to say, what, not only can we compare, but we beat maybe other counties.
I'd like to add, as an existing small business owner for many, many years, we all suffer the same malady here. It's just that we need to realistically look at what has us at this position and what can we do about it. That's what I hear you asking, and I think all of us, whether we're in business or not, share the same common interest that we need to do all we can to grow Fort Valley, and we need to do it without placing the burden of making it easy on the business on the shoulder of the residential people. I'd also like to add that we've not raised rates in the last 4 years. We're bragging right now. Maybe we need to do a study. Again, we have had some studies recently, but maybe we need to look at it from a different angle. But we want to thank you for sharing. We want to thank you for caring. And we'll do all we can to bring it to some common grounds where we can all be proud of it.
So you'll get back to me with...
We'll be back in touch with you. We'll do all we can to do it expeditiously, but we'll get back.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all of your input.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda this evening is the vehicle acquisition policy and the 3% rule change.
Pat. In the work session last week, while we were discussing the bid results for a vehicle, it was the Utility Commission's desire to change, we reached a consensus to change the 3% allowance for a Peach County vendor to 5% allowance for a Peach County vendor. So that's what is before you tonight.
Okay, do we
You
need
would
a
like to
motion?
change- You would like to change that policy.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recollection of our work session and the desire to change that policy so that we would have a 5% rule on the Peach County vendor as opposed to a 3% rule. What's your pleasure regarding that?
I'd like to offer the motion that we change from 3% to 5%.
Yeah. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we will change our vehicle acquisition policy from 3% to 5% to give us some latitude with our Peach County vendors. Any questions?
One question.
All right.
Did anyone make certain that the policy said Peach County, the old policy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it did.
It was originally the city.
That's why I asked the
We
question.
extended to the...
Okay,
And it
All
was
right.
extended to the county.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
I have a question, and I think I know the answer to this, but just because a bid may be the lowest bid, that doesn't mean that you are bound to take the lowest bid, does it?
That's what we're changing this, that's what this is about.
But I meant,
No, you're not.
right,
No,
so,
you're,
so you could, you know, because we want to keep our business local, if we can, then we are just simply saying that a 5% difference would make that, that business show, they could show, could be the lowest bidder, I guess is a way to think about it. But just because they were, that doesn't mean that you have to take them if you feel that there's another reason that you would rather buy the whatever from somebody else.
I think we would have that flexibility. Don't we, do we?
Within reason.
Within reason, okay.
I mean, quite naturally, if we're talking $10,000, but if we're talking, you know, $1,000 or less, and we've had done business with Joe Chevrolet for 10 years and hadn't had any issues, then yeah, but I mean, you're not gonna get out there too far with that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion regarding the motion? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor? Yes. Did we get a second? Yes, we did. All right. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimously carried. So we have our vehicle acquisition policy change from 3% to 5%. And the last item on our agenda tonight is the bid information sheet.
Yeah, at our work session, we discussed that we'd be moving forward with purchasing this vehicle from Riverside Ford, and I apologize. I locked everybody into the $26,000 figure, and I completely misread the first bid up top there, which came in at $25,736. So we'd be going with Brandon Ford instead of Riverside on the purchase of this vehicle. And that's accounting for 3% local. Yes, local vendor.
Brandon out of Unadilla is considered a local?
No, it's the low bid, and that's after factoring in the 3% for the local bidder, who is Jeff Smith.
All right, and if it goes to 5%, then who gets the,
Well, I didn't factor 5 in because this is before.
before that?
Right.
Right. Okay, so just, let's take this as a for instance. I did not do the math. I noticed the difference there. If it were 5 instead of 3, would that have meant that Brandon would have gotten it at that time?
I'd have to do the numbers, but I still think that Brandon may be a little bit lower, but I'd have to do the numbers to tell you. I don't have a calculator right here.
All right. Any other questions regarding that? We need to take action on it, or it's already, it's just information, or do we need to take a vote on this?
Well, you need to vote to approve.
To approve it? Okay.
I make a move that we approve the recommendation of the general manager and accept the bid of Brandon Motor Company from Unadilla on the truck.
We have bought a lot of trucks from Brandon. From Phil Brandon, we got good service out of him.
Okay. All right, it's been probably moved and seconded that we will take the recommended bid information on the 2016 Ford F-150, Brandon Ford gets the bid. Is there any other discussion, or do we have any other questions regarding this item? If not, then I call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. All right. The motion carries. At this time, that ends the public agenda that we had before us. At this time, I would like to adjourn the meeting and call for an executive session.
I make a motion that we go in.
No, we can't adjourn the meeting, I'm sorry.
You have to, first thing you're gonna have to do is amend the agenda to request an executive session, because it's not on the agenda item.
I was thinking that there was a revised agenda. We didn't get a revised agenda, okay.
The only one-
Well, then let's revise the agenda.
You'll need a motion to
Okay,
amend the
let's-
agenda.
I thought I was the only one with the old agenda, I apologize, okay?
Also move.
All right,
Second.
all right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we will revise our agenda to show that we need to go into an executive session for personnel and other business.
So you need a motion to do that.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, this is vote 5, vote was.
We need to vote, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by show of hands. Okay,
Now, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel item.
okay, I second the motion. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we will go into executive session to discuss a personnel item. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. All right,